What is an altar? What is an altar? The other day, one of my cleaning clients told me, "Oh, Nelly, one more thing. Tell the cleaners that they need to remove their shoes when they come into my house, because my house is where we worship God, our God." I thought about it. I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." I told him, "Yeah, don't worry. We wear our blue shoe covers. It's all good." But later on, I was thinking, his house is an altar. That is where he worships God, and he wants you to know, so that by the time you're coming in, you're treating the place as a place of worship. Do we treat ourselves as a place of worship? Do we treat the things that we do as a place of worship? Is God seen in everything we do, so that someone can truly say God's hand is in it, is in it, like in your life, God's hand is in it, because that's an altar, like a place that is consecrated, known to be a place of worship. So I went reading and looking. So an altar in the days of Moses and Abraham, it was a place associated with sacrifice, sanctification, purification, consecration. Your altar, it's a place of exchange. There's an agenda. You've done things that are wrong, like the other days you need to sacrifice, or you need God's guidance, you need to hear from Him. So you go to the place of worship, and the altar, it's a place of exchange. You exchange something and you get something. So we offer ourselves to Him, and it's a place of sacrifice where you surrender, and a place of communication. So there's always an agenda, when an altar is raised. So I was thinking to myself, am I raising an altar? Are we raising altars? And what is your agenda? What is my agenda when I'm raising an altar? Because there's also, there's a prayer I was praying, God, I'm raising an altar here for you. Like at my office, I'm raising an altar so that everything I do, your hand will be in it, Everything I do, your face will be seen in it. So I'm raising an altar in my place of work, in my client's house while I'm cleaning. Everywhere, I want to raise that altar there so that God's presence is seen. So what's your agenda? Are you raising altars where you are? And what is your exchange? What are you exchanging to God when you're meeting Him? Because you want to communicate with Him. So what are you exchanging? Because Jesus at the altar, He exchanged, His life for death, And we got that. We got Jesus' life, right? So there's an encounter, and there's an exchange, and a meeting. So our response should be, we come to the altar and we raise it wherever we are. We need to raise it wherever we are, And this was a reminder, like a covenant with God, And it's not really physical, because it was physical, but now it is a personal and deeper place that you have an encounter with God, So don't go to a building raising shrines and physical altars. You can have a room. I have a room. Don't get me wrong. I have a room. I don't pray a lot in it these days, because I pray everywhere. Now I'm at the restaurant. I'm just waiting for my friends, and I'm sharing about God. So you can have a room, a designated place that you want to pray, but not to worship that room. Like you come in and you're like, this room. No, it is a place because you're running away from the noise. Even Jesus ran away from the noise to come to speak to His Father. So an altar is where God and humans meet. That is you. You can find that space. You can find that place. It's your job. It's your bike. It's while you're putting your child to sleep, while you're caring for your relatives or your family, So like Jacob, when he was wrestling with God, because he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. That was his altar, because he wanted to communicate with God right there. He wanted an exchange with God. He wanted God to exchange something for him, with what he was offering. So we enter into his presence with humility at the altar, like Moses with the burning bush. It's a holy place, hence the exchange and him told to remove his shoes. So you get a deeper understanding who God is and who you are in Him in this altar, because He's exchanging truths of who He is and who you are in Him. And then also in this altar, because you've segregated yourself, you become attentive to His voice and to the Holy Spirit, because you've really taken yourself from the noise. And that is an altar. It's away from the noise so that you can communicate with God. So an altar, you exchange, you petition to God, you call His name, and you find Him. It's the table of the Lord where you come to meet him, and that's what the tabernacle was, where the high priest went to the Holy of Holies. It was sacred, off at times, it was closed at times just because it was only for the Holy of the high priest. But now there's freedom. The curtain has been opened. It has been torn into two. Now not only the priests may enter, into the throne room or the upper room, you may enter. And where do you enter that? Not in a special place. You enter that anywhere, in this open space, in the public, it is open. There's no set time. Oh yeah, I can only enter at 11. Oh yeah, I'm late. No, it's closed. No. There's freedom. And that's what we need to be thankful for God. His exchange at the altar meant that his life was taken for the freedom that we can receive right now. And in most of the churches we go to, like the physical places, the altar is at the front because you're segregating yourself from the noise and you're coming to the front to meet Christ. It's just a symbol. It's just a symbol that you're coming, you're showing yourself, you're giving yourself to God. It is a private place away from where we get to seek God and come to meet God. Like in Mark 1:35, when Jesus did this oftentimes. So we have an intimate fellowship with God. We wait on him. There's no rush at the altar because you've really come for a meeting. You've come for an exchange. You don't exchange so fast and you go. No, you meet and you wait. The encounter is deeper. You speak what you want and you wait, and you hear what he says. So it's because of Christ that we are and we have the freedom that we have because of the exchange at the cross. What did I write again? Yeah. When you approach the altar, it's like you're denying yourself. It's self-denial, denial to accept God's terms. That's good. Like you have your terms, so you're coming to the altar, but then you're denying them to accept God's truth. That's amazing. You're accepting God's truth. So then, you remember how the altars were, Israel was torn and people are coming back to rebuild it. We can still rebuild altars. And I mean relationships with God. You can still rebuild that. Because Ezra, they faced opposition, from the enemies when they wanted to rebuild the altar and lay foundation of the temple. They faced opposition, but they went ahead with it. So, they came back, even the Israelites, they came back from exile to rebuild Nehemiah and all the others. We need to come back to the heart of worship, where we rebuild the altars, which are the deeper understanding we can have in Christ of who he is and who we are in him. So, you can still build an altar, you can still build that hideaway to come and have a deeper understanding of who Christ is and who you are in him. So, let's go building altars, let's go raising those altars wherever we are and speak boldly, not really telling people to remove their shoes because it's holy ground, but letting our lives be seen that God is in it, because that's a true altar that you've created. Okay, not created, but you've lived up to. So God bless you and keep those altars with Christ in them. Have a good day.